Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on how to build AI prospecting workflows with Lusha MCP and API. Yet again, we are taking another step into the future of prospecting, so hold on to your learning hats. So in today's agenda, we'll go over a quick introduction and talk about the challenges that GTM team members are facing today. We're going to explain about the MCP and API, where we're at today, and what we can do with it moving forward. We're going to share a live demonstration with you, and of course, we have the Q&As at the end. And I just want to point out, like I said a moment ago, this session is being recorded and will be sent to you after the session. It's also available on our webinar page and also our YouTube channel. But most importantly, I like to point out an area that I work on a lot, our Academy page. We just created a new MCP and API course, so that's available for you on the Academy page. Just go to the website under Resources, Academy page, and you'll see that. I believe no more than maybe perhaps next week, the course will be live. But today you have us to walk you through what's available. So my name is Tal from the customer success team, and with me today we have Carolina, Lusha's solution engineer, who is here to help us to learn all about the newest way to prospect when using AI and our LLM platforms. So Carolina, thanks for joining us today. And let's talk a bit about the past and a bit about the present and what are the challenges that we face today. So we had a few things going on. We had endless prospecting, we had manual searches, we had building lists by hand. We were trying to figure out who to reach out to, when to reach out to them, and why we are reaching out to them in the first place. We were also, combining multiple platforms and jumping between pages and pages. We're losing focus and not even having, anything close to a streamlined prospects. Our tools were disconnected and they were not even talking to each other clearly, and the automations weren't running smoothly. And even with AI systems today, it all comes down to the data. So as smart as they are, but if the data is not really, there, then it just won't cut it. So, it's a new area, it's a new world, and we have to learn how to use it. And you know what? I'll even take a step back a little bit more for those who maybe attended our previous webinars. I like to go down memory lane a bit. And let's talk about what Lusha provided for us a while ago and how we kind of transitioned into the world today. So once upon a time, about a year ago, or 2 years ago, Lusha introduced the warm outbound signals. We had the intent data, we had the funding data, we had technologies, we had job changes, and this all helped us to prioritize the companies and contacts and to really make our efforts count. Fast forward a bit, we introduced the AI recommendations with the live playlist and the full automation from playlist to engage, which is basically just working while you're sleeping. So you find contacts and you already engage with them while you're sleeping, just wait for the replies. And that took about 90% of our work away. Like all the manual work was basically gone. And while we still had the API, you still needed, the dev team to build it, and you needed the backend integrations, and you had to define every single search and every single rule. And for a while that worked, and it still does, by the way. But it really depends on your motion and what needs to be done and what needs to be tackled. So let's take a look at where we're at today. So introducing Promptspecting. This is the practice of turning natural language prompts into qualified prospects. Now, it's taking the idea of prospecting and just combining it with how we already use AI tools every single day within our LLM platforms. So for example, you want to just go and type natural language, find VPs of sales at SaaS companies that raise funding, give me their contact info, give me the key updates, give me, help me personalize my outreach based on the company profile and the contact itself. And, add to that you even build a skilled agent that knows exactly how you like to receive that data, and you're really a nice little export of how you like the information. About last week ago when I was creating the course, I was thinking about what does this remind me of? So I like to refer to this as sort of like a drive-through. You come in by storm, you take in an order, and just moments later you have what you came for. It's all packed nice and neat in a nice little basket, and it's available for you to just go and move on into your motion or your next step. And in the world of today, you have the right contact, you have the right context, and you also have a ready to send email, and even better, a opening pitch for the call. So what is AI prospecting? Now, what it really means is just letting the smart tools do the heavy lifting for you. So instead of manually hunting down the leads, bouncing between the tabs, like we said, AI is going to help you find the right people and faster. So where does that put us? First, we are not going to spend time building filters and clicking through kind of drop-down menus. We just prompt. Prompt is going to be the word. You tell the system what you need, and it gets to work. It's that simple. Second, you can scale faster, but you don't lose that personal touch. And your messages are still going to feel relevant. They still feel tailored, just done at speed and at scale. Scale is a word that we like. And third, you connect it all together, your systems, your workflows. They just work together, so the insights are not just sitting in a dashboard, but they are they're triggering real actions and automatically. So let me bring on Carolina, who is Lusha's solution engineer, to walk us through everything we need to know. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Carolina. We had multiple customer calls in the past years, and you always do your best to help and connect the dots for them to streamline their process. So Carolina, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Tal. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. Such an exciting and big crowd here today. Hope you're hearing me loud and clear. I don't have a cool mic like Tal, but I'm here to talk about exciting stuff in the automation/enrichment world, which is MCP and API. So let's start understanding a little bit more about each one of them and, of course, how they work together. Okay, so first things first. Some of you already might be familiar with the concept of Lusha API, but for those that are not, Lusha API is essentially a path to access Lusha's database for contact and company profiles. So you're able to fetch live data and enrich to your system of choice in an automated way, and of course, in a bulk way. If you don't like to do anything technical, you don't have to worry about it, because we have an option to go through connectors, which are no-code platforms such as Make, Zapier, Workato. I think some of you already mentioned here on the comment section as well, which is really simple, and you don't have to go through all the technicalities of making an API call itself. Okay, let's go to the next slide and understand a little bit on how can we actually use the Lusha API. So there's different scenarios where you can take advantage of the API. First one being actually enriching contact and company records. So let's say you have company records, but you're missing firmographic information and you want to have that complete account profile. You're able to enrich those companies to have a complete profile with industry, revenue, and so on. Or let's say you already have information on contacts, but you might not be really sure if that's updated. You can also use Lusha API to enrich and make sure that that data stays fresh. You're able to automate lists as well. So prospecting is one of the options. So not necessarily you already have the contacts or company records, but you want to find those. So you can use Prospecting API with your filter of choice, and then create those lists so you can actually reach out to your prospects with the companies that you guys want to work with. You're able to integrate anywhere. So the beauty of API is that you can actually fetch the data and input in your system, so you can take advantage and just use it as you like. And also, as I mentioned in the previous slide, if you don't want to go to the technicalities, that's no problem. You can go through platforms like Zapier, Workato, and many more to make your life a little bit easier when it comes to the technical part. And of course, the beauty of it is that you don't actually need to work too much on the maintenance of the data. So all that manual part of prospecting, logging to the platform, saving, make sure you're sending the data correctly, you don't have to do that. You can actually spend more time on things that matter, which is why they're using and making the whole automation in the first place. So that's a little bit about Lusha API. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Amazing. So now that we know what is Lusha API, let's understand what is MCP. That might be a new concept for some people. So let's break a little bit down the concept of MCP, which is a model context protocol, which essentially, as I would like to say, it's a connection bridge between Lusha's data and an AI agent. So you can actually fetch Lusha's data using an AI agent with plain language. So you don't have to go through the technicalities of an API call, or not even in a platform connector, which is the easier way I was mentioning before. You can just talk to your AI agent and get Lusha's data. Really simple. So we like to say that it's a layer on top of the API that we were talking about before. Amazing. And now let's talk about actually how can we use Lusha's MCP. Super similar to the API use cases, right? Because we're using the data to actually enrich your contact records or company records. So it goes on the same path on actually making sure that we have the good data. You can actually use MCP with Lusha API to enrich your contacts or to make an account research. Some of you might have a book of business with accounts, but you need more information to understand and make sure that your prospecting and reaching out is on the right way. So you can use AI and Lusha API together to make that research with little to no effort. You can create lists and make sure that you have the right information of your contacts. Some of you might have websites with inbound leads coming in. You might get a little information on it, email or something like that, but you actually need more. So you can create those emails more personalized and more focused. You can use MCP for that, so you can have a more complete profile. And so many more. If you already have the data, you want to make sure it stays fresh, like we talked about in the previous slides with API. So MCP can also help you with that. So if we can go to the next slide. Amazing. So now we know what MCP is. We know what API is. Both work great. Both fetch data. It's just different ways of using it. MCP, you're using plain language. You basically just need to go for English, type what you need. And don't worry, we're going to have a demonstration by the end of this presentation, so I can actually show you guys a little bit more of how that actually looks like. And we have API, which gives you flexibility to connect and make requests to your platform of choice. And again, not necessarily making all the JSON schemes, all the technical part. You can go for a platform, but both have the same goal of actually getting the data and making sure that you have the right and fresh one. Next slide, Tal, please. Amazing. So let's summarize all of that. And I think I mentioned a little bit in each slide what we are able to provide in buckets of enrichment, as I like to say. So we have some core endpoints. First one being person enrichment. So anything contact related, job title, email address, phone number, and so on. That's the first enrichment. Second enrichment, anything account related. So firmographic data, revenue, industry, all that piece of data that you want to make sure that your account profile is complete. That's the second bucket of enrichment. The third one is prospecting. So that one is when not necessarily you have the person or you have the account, but you do know who you're looking for. You do know which companies are you going after. So you can use our filters to search for those people. You can use the filters to search for those companies, and from there, create your targeted lists. Prospecting as of now is only available with API. We're going to have prospecting with MCP coming soon. So stay tuned on that. If we can go on a slide. Amazing. So talking about what's coming soon, we also have our remote MCP. As I mentioned, as an introduction for MCP, you're now able to use MCP on AI agents, but in the future, you're also going to be able to use MCP with platforms, the connectors that we spoke about, Make, connectors, Zapier, Workato. So you can have a little bit of ease in talking between the systems. So that's a really cool update that we're going to have. So also, again, stay tuned for that. Amazing. So now let's go to the visual part of it. I want to show you guys a little bit of the MCP in action so we can actually see how that works with some examples that I prepared for today. So now I'm going to go ahead and share my screens so I can show everybody.
Share, I kind of go over my sharing. I think it's going to work. I'll just make sure that everyone's seeing it, okay?
Amazing. Let me go ahead. Can you all see my Claude here?
Let me check.
Oh, can you confirm for me if that's visible for everybody?
The guys are in the chat saying yes. Okay, perfect.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Perfect. So for today's example, we're going to use Claude. Not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but it's really similar to ChatGPT. So it works the same way. We have a prompt where we can ask questions and a lot of things about our day-to-day lives. I saw some really funny examples of how people are using AI in the beginning of the section. But today it's going to be everything automation enrichment related with our API, of course. So amazing. We have here a Claude system. First thing that we need to know is to make sure that, of course, our MCP is connected, or MCP with API. So you can see here that I have person and company enrichment. Not going to go over the installation steps in today's session, but as Tal mentioned in the beginning, we have articles, we have an MCP documentation, and we're also going to have a course explaining visually on how to make that installation. Super simple step. Less than 5 minutes, you're able to go with this. So don't worry, this is really an easy part. But for today, I just want to make sure that we are making those examples live for you guys to see today. Okay, so I want to start with company enrichment, which is one of the enrichments that we spoke about you guys are able to do with MCP. So I'm going to copy here one example of company enrichment, which is going to be a question towards accounts. So I have some popular accounts here, some popular companies. Of course, you guys would use your book of business so you can get more information. And my question is going to be, can you look up companies below in Lusha and provide their industry and employee size range? You could specify any information that you want. You couldn't have to specify anything at all. But for this example here, I just wanted to see. Oh, some people are saying that they can't see anything. Okay, I hope everybody's seeing. If not, let us know.
It could be, by the way, also just one point on the top. It's in some cases on the top of Zoom, there's like a tab that you can kind of bounce between. So maybe it could be up there.
Yes, that's a good point, guys. If you can click on my name on the top of the Zoom navigation bar,
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay, perfect. They got it.
Great, amazing. So going back to the example for those who are not seeing before, I was just trying here one example with account enrichment. So I just told the AI agent my accounts, which I just use popular companies here, and asked for information such as industry and employee size range. You guys could have asked for anything that you wanted. In this case here, let's say that for me it made sense employee size and industry. And you see here that we are working, well, AI is working here on the back end to make the API call. So this technical part here, you don't have to worry about what you would have to do with API. It's no work for you here because AI works for you. And here you go. You have all the companies with the information that you ask, pulling from Lusha. Of course, those are really popular accounts, but you could have used your own. And then you have your information here ready to go. Okay. That's one for account enrichment. So you could have asked any information for account enrichment that you need to make sure those account profiles stay updated. Now let's talk a little bit about contact enrichment. So we want to make sure, so let me copy here my example for contact enrichment. My question for the AI agent is the following. Please search the contact emails below and share the complete contact information for each. So here, I just use some of our people at Lusha as an example. You could use some of your emails, or if you, like I mentioned before, if you have an inbound system where you can get some emails, you could have used those. Again, API here working on the back end, something you don't have to worry about. It already works for you. And then it's fetching the information from Lusha to give you all those data points that you need. And then we have here everybody from Lusha with all the information. And the beauty of it, guys, is that you can actually talk back. So if there's something missing, you can ask the AI agents to make sure that we're getting all the data points from Lusha. So I like to say that you're actually talking to the data and getting it in plain language with no technicalities at all. And here we have everybody. And my third example is a combination of contact enrichment and company enrichment, which is going to be, let me copy here for you to see. The following question: please review the LinkedIn URLs below and use Lusha to gather additional information about each prospect and their company. So we're going to look for both of them. We want to know about the company and we want to know about the contact. I know some of you might be heavy LinkedIn users, so this is a great way as well of using AI, just pasting here the LinkedIn profiles that you want to know more about. And again, in this case, I just use somewhere for folks at Lusha. And here you see API working, so no have to worry about that. It's already being connected. Of course, here I use everybody from Lusha, so it's going to be only one company. But let's say you're using different profiles with different companies, we're going to give you the breakdown of every company information as well as the contacts, as you can see here. So we have everybody. All data coming from Lusha through that Lusha API path. Yeah, it's really, really easy. And again, you can talk back if there's something here that it's missing. Oh no, I want something that it's not being showed here. You can talk back to the AI agent and make sure that you're pulling all the data points that you want from Lusha. We have an API hub /MCP where you can consult all the available data points that you're able to fetch. And you can use that as a resource as well to make those questions and conversations with those AI agents. That's it in terms of the demonstration. Let me just stop here my screen share so we can go back to the presentation.
Yeah. Thanks, Carolina. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for the amazing information, and it's really interesting to see how we can level up, which is one of my favorite words, our prospecting games. And guys, this is like really the starting point. Like, and I know I always say this, like, this is the future. The future is here. The future is here. It's always, that's how we like. That's where we like to be, coming into new areas, new waters, learning and improving it. So we're just getting started. There's a lot to learn from this on your end, on our end. And when you guys can connect Workato and tool and like third-party platforms, everything is just connected. It's simple as that. Simple language, and just connect your systems and push away, engage, right? Customize requests for company data, templates for companies and cold calls. Like the system will just build everything for you. The system meaning like your LLM platform, after it's connected, just ask away, just speak to it. What I like to do is I like to just open up a microphone and just talk to my system. I don't really type today, to be honest. My typing skills are going, downhill, not uphill. So open up your microphone, just talk to your systems. So that's the demo part. Again, thanks, Carolina. And just to point out again, we have the articles available on our webinar. The recording is going to be on the webinar page. In the API hub, MCP hub, you have all the information how to set it up. So you're good to go. You can find the information. It's available for you. Let's go into some Q&As. So we have a question. Is there a limit on the amount of tokens one can use between MCPs and LLMs? Let me read that again. Is there a limit on the amount of tokens one can use between MCPs and LLMs? Caroline is...
The limitation is going to vary depending on the account. We also have a credit system, so that's really going to depend on how many calls you're able to make. So it varies a little bit. I don't think I have a concrete answer for that one, unfortunately.
Okay. And guys, if you can always circle back to us afterwards on support, and we also have a support team available to help out with any kind of questions. If anybody missed an answer, a question that was raised but we didn't answer, so just pointing that out as well. Another question: Yeah.
No, I just going to mention in terms of some of the technicalities and configurations, just to promote a little bit our API hub. You can find a lot of information about API, all the limitations, all the endpoints, also MCP. The installation that I mentioned earlier, you're able to find the step-by-step instructions. So we have a really cool API hub that we're going to be adding more and more tutorials and articles to help you make this automation and implementation easier as it can be.
Yeah, Carolina, you and Daniel worked on this very, very nicely, and I believe 98% of your questions will be answered there. But again, we're always here to answer any other questions. Another question at the moment: are the prompt requests limited through this API?
Say that again, Tom.
Are the prompt requests limited through this API? I'm trying to think of, yeah.
It goes back to the credit consumption scheme. So everything is going to be consumed through your credit balance. That's going to vary by plan, so I'm not going to say numbers, but we have the credit usage for contacts and for companies. So that's going to be depending on how many emails you're sending. I was showing you before that we have we send some emails, we send some link to URLs. Every link, every email is one contact. So that's going to be actually what's consuming the credit and consuming that charge. So that's going to depend on the credit and plan that you are with Lusha.
So it's not really about like you can use one credit, for example, on a contact or company, whatever it might be. And again, this is a different kind of model, like you said, but you can go and refine the prompt again and ask it differently, but using the same data. It's not about the prompts, it's about the data
The
received from
data
Lusha.
itself. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. One second, let me just read that again. Could this also, I guess I'm going to rephrase it. I think it's the right question. Could this also identify the intent of the businesses too, and can help IT services companies? Perhaps what they're saying is if they're in the IT service companies and there's companies that are signaling for intent, like in-market buyers, then could we get that information?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Intent's really important, super cool to have nowadays when you're doing that research. Intent is part of the data point included in Lusha, so you're able to understand what certain contents are using. Again, it's going to depend on the plan you're using, but that's definitely something that you're able to get with Lusha's API, of course.
Thank you. Can we check buying intent and scrape contact numbers?
Not sure if I understand. So you're able to understand what companies are using. So if you have a book of accounts that you want to understand, you're able to search for those and see the output for the intent. From there, if it makes sense, you can just target contacts within the accounts that have the intent that you're looking for. So yeah, that's a possibility if the question is around that.
So let me rephrase it maybe a bit differently. Maybe it's the same. I'm looking for, like, I go to Claude and I go out and ask a question saying, hey, I'm looking for companies that are in the market, for example, for lead generation, right? Let's talk about Lusha for a second. So it will go and pop up and I'll just ask it, give me 10 companies in this area that are looking into lead generation. That's the intent side. And then it'll give me a list of 10 companies and I'll say within these companies, give me
Okay, that's a great question, actually. So that goes a little bit into the prospecting side of things that I mentioned that is coming out soon. As of now, with MCP, which is with the AI agent, you're able to direct enrich contacts and accounts. So it's more an approach of accounts that you already know and contacts that you already know something about. The prospecting, which is what we're talking about here, understanding what else based on filters, it's coming out soon.
Okay, so that's a good important note. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have available, so you have like the demonstration you showed with us. Here are the emails, or here are the LinkedIn profiles, here are the names. What do you have in Lusha?
Exactly.
It will come back.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the companies. What do you have on these companies? So the third part is going to be the prospecting one, and that's going to be in the near future. So then for that question, yes, you will be able when that's going to be released. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a risk that Claude produces? One second. Is there a risk that Claude produces hallucinations while using Lusha's API data? I don't know if you got that, but I'll just read it again. Is there a risk that Claude produces hallucinations?
Well, that's a new question
While
for me. I know
okay.
I'm not really sure how to answer that.
Let's put it on the side for a second. Let's see if see if Alina can help us out there. I'm going to go into the next one. Is the MCP also available for ChatGPT? I'm trying to find the documentation on your website.
Okay, yeah, so to find the documentation, you can go to our Lusha hub for API. There is a tab called MCP with all the steps by step. As of now, I'm confirming with our team, we don't necessarily have for ChatGPTs with Claude and also Cursor, but our second coming soon announcement that I showed you guys before is that we're going to have more platforms to be used with. So that's something that is going to be released soon.
Perfect. And yeah, again, we're just getting started. So yeah, we'll just kick off right now with Claude and Cursor a bit, and then we'll slowly add more and more tools as we go. Can we integrate to Salesforce?
Well, that's a general question. You're able to integrate with Salesforce. Yes, using Lusha's API, you're able to send the data that you fetch with Lusha's API to Salesforce. When using AI agents, as of now, you can only interact with the data here and some partners of the platform that I was showing, which was Claude. When the remote MCP is released, which is what we were talking about before with ChatGPT, you're going to have that easier integration and interaction. But as of now, you're able to search data, get the data, play a little bit with the connections that Claude has available directly. But if you're going to the Lusha API route, you definitely can integrate and use the requests from there directly.
But we spoke about also like Workato and Zapier tools like that. So Zapier, for example, can connect to Salesforce, and
Yes.
Claude can connect to Zapier as well. So you have them all connected within Zapier, and then you can raise a request in simple language to Claude within, like, sort of connected, and then you can tell it go and push over the system, the data into my Salesforce account. Is that how it kind of works? Or I guess Zapier would do that on its end.
No, absolutely. So we have those connectors available at Zapier and Workato as well, Make, where you can do that, just choosing your filters, your inputs, parameters, and you can send the information from Claude to Zapier. As of now, I'm not sure, but I think it's only Zapier with Claude, but they are also adding more options. But regardless, we're going to have the remote MCP coming out soon, so you're going to have more possibilities.
Perfect. And this is kind of connected in a way. So I guess for the one who asked this, let's say you connect it to your HubSpot. Would it be able to alter data in your HubSpot?
So that's a good question. So you're fetching Lusha's data, regardless of the path you want to go. When you fetch Lusha's data, you're going to get the data back. Not necessarily want to change what you currently have. So you have the option to change if you want to, but you don't need to. You can just add that as an additional data point. So you don't need to change what you currently have if you want to keep it, as a matter of comparison, for example, just to know that what we have is a little bit more fresh. But to answer the question here, no, you don't need to change or modify anything. You can just get the data and push to your system of choice without touching anything else if that's what you need here.
All right, cool. Thanks. I'm just going to go over the questions again. Is it compatible with MS Dynamics 365? So it kind of goes back to the same integrations, right, with Salesforce and HubSpot. So all these CRMs, at some point, yes, you will be able to connect the dots. Okay. Good questions, everybody. Good questions. And again, we're just getting started, so a lot of cool things coming your way. There was a question about LinkedIn. Where did I see it? Oh, is there any way to integrate LinkedIn so directly LinkedIn URL get into AI screen? I'll just read that again. Is there any way to integrate LinkedIn so directly LinkedIn URL getting into AI screen? Maybe, I guess, when you're on LinkedIn and you kind of click on a button that pushes information to your LLM, I guess, and then from there ask for Lusha's data, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
Yeah, as of now with those AI agents, you have to start a prompt. Not necessarily manually, you can create some type of automation, but you had to feed the AI with the information. So I'm not sure if that goes directly from LinkedIn. So you would have to provide those profiles so we can make the search.
okay.
But those are really nice use cases. Like I mentioned, we are enhancing our hub with more use cases, more examples. So, we can be a little bit more present in those different scenarios. So I'm getting a lot of good ideas here to work on those solutions and provide and feed our API hub with more flows for you guys.
Okay, thanks. So I think we answered most of the questions. Let me just make sure that I haven't missed anything here. One second, just gonna. There's some questions here that I'm not quite sure what they mean, so I'm just asking for our team to help us out to rephrase it. Oh, there's someone's asking about how to get started. They want to start to use it. So I guess, they should go and follow. Well, first of all, depending on the package that they have and they have the API key, if it's available for them, they can then go to the API documentation um, available on the website or through the knowledge base. They can go into the hub that you created. I guess maybe just, walk them again through the steps of how to get started.
Yeah, of course. That's actually a really good point. After all that, like how can we actually use it and benefit of it? Assuming you have the API key, it's all set. Like I mentioned, we have our hub docs.lusha.com where you can just go to the MCP tab. Make sure that you're following the steps for the installation, copy and pasting, just some commands for configuration purposes. Once that is set, if you have Claude already downloaded or you can use it in your browser, you can start using and asking questions right away.
Perfect. And just to point out, I mentioned that if you have the API, today's Lucius packages provide the API, so you should have the API moving forward, and you can just go and follow the steps. And
Amazing.
again, perhaps maybe tomorrow, maybe already on Monday, we're going to have a walkthrough video that we created showing you in 2 minutes how you can get ready, up and running with the access available in Claude. Okay, I think we are good. Anybody else feel free to ask questions in the Q&A part? Really good questions. I think we are now knowledgeable enough to get going and start to use our LLMs in our daily routines. Not just, is this email okay to send to a customer? Well, that was the first step of it. What was it, like a year ago, I think? When did we start using? No, a bit more than a year ago. It's been a while.
So much easier now.
All right. So I think we're okay. Let me just double check that. Okay. That's it, guys. Perfect. So thank you everybody for the questions. So yeah, that wraps up
Amazing.
today's session on AI prospecting and how it's going to change the game moving forward. Hopefully, you're all walking away with a clear picture on how to take away the manual work of building a pipeline, how to use our system smarter and not harder. So we can't wait to hear from you guys. Start small, test it out, see how it goes. Let the AI do the heavy lifting for you. Let us know. We want to hear, how it's going. If you have any kind of feedback on it, and of course, everybody, thank you for joining and spending the time with us. And a big, big shout out to Lusha's team and Carolina, of course, and Alina and Daniel who are helping out with the questions. We'll send the recording, like I mentioned before, after the session. You can grab a copy, I believe, maybe already next week on the webinar page. And like I said, multiple times, because the Academy is something that I'm working on, go grab a course on the MCP and API. And yeah, hit the ground running. So until next time, everybody, happy prospecting, smash your
Amazing.
goals, and wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.